Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Talk of Devils, brought to you by talkdevils.co.uk, your number one and favourite independent Manchester United podcast. If you haven't known already, guys, this is our Manchester Derby preview. As always, joined by former Manchester United players Phil Marsh and Lee Lawrence, and also another little guest line that's here this evening, Mr. Reese Russell, long supporter of Talk Devils YouTube channel. Happy to have all the lads here this evening. As said, it is our Manchester Derby preview. A lot of talking points going into one of the biggest games this season, away at the Etihad this Sunday. So we're going to crack right into it because there's a lot to talk about this evening going into the game. First of all, Phil, haven't seen you in a while. Obviously, we've had kind of that thrilling 0-0 draw last week that we were all predicting. Loads of goals to go in. We all had pies in our faces, last Saturday at 5 o'clock. Apart from that, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, good, mate. All good. Had a lot of football this week. Just catching up on a few games that have been called off. But just a normal week really in work and sort of, just looking forward to obviously watching United again against Man City. I think it's going to be a great game. Obviously, we've done quite well against them, sort of in certain games, which I'm hoping that we can do again this weekend. But just touching on last week on the Watford Results, I think, 4-0 probably would have been a good shout if we'd have took all the chances. I mean, gee whiz, I said Ronaldo hat-trick. He could have scored at least 3 or 4, and Bruno should have buried a couple. So, if we was better at finishing last week, I think my result would have been probably bang on. But story of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Story of the season. And I know those lads, Phil's banging in the goals there as well. With his own team at the minute. We probably could have done with Phil there last Saturday. So, probably could have done with Phil up front last Saturday. He probably would have won the game. Would have scored a couple of goals. But Lee, obviously, look, last week was a very turbulent one for all of us. How's the form been this week?
All the same, mate. All good, thank you. Good to see you all, lads. I've got to confess something. The game against Watford is the first game of the season I've still not been able to watch the full 90 minutes of yet, if I'm being honest with you. I've tried to get the replays when I can, and I've only caught the majority of the highlights, but I've got the gist of it. And again, I'm sure we're going to mention it so many times on this podcast, but the finishing is just at the minute it's terrible, isn't it? You know what I mean? And I hate that every week we're coming on and we start with a negative approach to the cast. But like you said, if you would have took our chances, our predictions that we come out with last week would have been under-predicted. We should have been 6 or 7-0 up. You know what I mean? It's crazy how many chances we can create and don't seem to put them away. But I'm sure we'll get onto that later on in the podcast, so we'll leave it for them.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about the Watford game and due course on the pod. Joining us this evening is Mr. Reese Russell, long supporter of this channel, Talk of Devils, and also of the weekly Armchair Sports Talk as well. Reese, how are you, my friend? And how is it to be on Talk of Devils?
I'm doing all right, thanks. I've been on my own YouTube scene this week as well. Like my latest videos have hit 5,000 views, so I've just been battering through it, and obviously work as well. It's good to be on the channel, and what can I say? I do like a good reading as well, so there's another one for you. Cheers for that one. Quality read, I do recommend it. Of course, Wayne is an absolute amazing writer.
Yeah, and Wayne will absolutely love that plug watching live now. So absolutely fantastic reads, fantastic work. So that's absolutely great to hear. And look, it's great to see you on the channel as well. That's obviously supporting it a long time. So it's great to see a face to the comments that are on the channel for the guys who watch who mightn't know you. But yeah, look, I'm glad to see that everyone as well, despite the result last weekend. Please. But look, we'll crack straight into it. Like Phil, obviously, look, 0-0 draw last week. We were all confident kind of going into that game last Friday. We were thinking like, look, this could really be the game that could kickstart this run that we're going to have to go on. Obviously, big March coming up, big April, in terms of it's kind of the reverse fixtures what October and November are. For yourself, Phil, what were your thoughts watching the 0-0 draw? Because in that first half, we absolutely battered Watford, but for some reason the ball just wouldn't go in the back of the net. Was it just one of them days at Old Trafford, kind of like almost like the season when we had Mourinho and we had kind of like about 5 or 6 0-0 draws at Old Trafford that season? Do you feel like it was one of them games where it just wasn't our day?
Yeah, as I say, I actually think we played quite well overall. for the first half, especially, I think we could have been out of sight, which we've said numerous times in the past couple of podcasts. But yeah, I don't know what it is really. I think in front of goal and sort of being ruthless is sort of a knack, and we obviously have Ronaldo, who his goal record speaks for itself. All strikers go through bad spells. I don't think he's finished, and I don't think the amount of sort of negative press that he has got is justified really, because he's done it all his career. I do think he'll be beating himself up as much as anyone else will be about the amount of opportunities that he's sort of not been taken recently. But then that comes to the other point where I think we can't just rely on Cristiano. I think there was other players. Especially, Bruno had a couple of great opportunities where he should be scoring, the player of his ability. And with, the other players around him, we can't just be relying on one man to sort of, pull us out of the crap, if you like. And for me, it was a really good performance. But, just because we didn't have that particular person on the day who could find the back of the net, it's been a massively frustrating sort of afternoon for everyone involved. I think, the fans must have been, absolutely pulling their hair out at the ground. We was watching it on the sidelines. And yeah, I just feel as though the performance weren't too bad. And on another day, that game could have been, 4-5, 6-0 easily. And everyone would have been sat here thinking, going into the Man City game full of confidence. We've had a couple of different scorers, clean sheet, and everything's, different. Whereas because the result's been a 0-0, and everyone will sort of be saying, can't finish, players no confidence, all that kind of thing. It sort of puts a different spin on it. So yeah, obviously disappointing. We needed the 3 points. It was a massive game really with the run that we've got coming up now. Obviously points are going to be a lot tougher to find coming up with the run we've got. So just obviously have to try and take the positives that we played quite well, but the finishing's got to sort of improve. And as I said then, I think we've got to get more people who are more consistent in terms of, bringing regular goals into the team and being able to pop up with a moment and be more sort of ruthless when they get them opportunities, especially in the bigger games, because you're not going to get as many as we did last week, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when you looked at last week, I think there was lack of conviction up there. Like, I think Ronaldo was one of his worst off days, if I could say that. I think obviously Elanga could have scored. Bruno had a stinker in front of goal, to be quite honest. Compared to what his usual standard is, and you'd expect Bruno to put some of them chances away. Pogba probably didn't get into the box enough. I think if Pogba maybe had one or two chances, he might have put them away. Rashford came on, didn't do much. There's one of them days I thought where it's just we weren't going to put the ball in the back of the net. I said it to you in the group chat last week. I think if that game was 180 minutes long, we wouldn't have put it in the back of the net, because that's how unlucky we were throughout that 90 minutes. One thing I'm concerned about, Lee, though, is Ronaldo seems to be the only natural striker we have at the minute. And even at that, is he really a number 9 by trade? He's either that or on the left. Are you concerned with the lack of strikers we have at the top of the minute, Lee? Because obviously Martial is gone on loan. Cavani is, either injured or sick or whatever is going on at the minute with Edison. Obviously, we're short another striker as well. I'm not going to name him, but we're short another striker as well. And Ronaldo seems to be the only striker we have at the minute. He always seems to, and that's why he's playing every single game. Do you think, obviously, coming into this run that we have now, you may be thinking maybe time for Ronaldo to maybe give him a rest? I'm not necessarily saying this Sunday. I'm not saying do we rest him this Sunday, but do you think at this moment in time, Ralph Rangnick may need to kind of maybe assess what he has and maybe alter the formation slightly? Does he maybe give Elanga a chance up top because he's played there before? Does he maybe give Rashford a responsibility to play up front? Does he maybe go to Bruno false 9? And many United fans are saying that at the moment. How do you think he kind of sorts this out? Because Ronaldo's 37 years of age at the end of the day, and I think, look, he can't play 3 games in a week. I don't care how much of a physical freak he is in terms of his upper body stature and like his fitness and his nutrition and all that type of stuff. Effectively, Father Time will catch up eventually. Do you think it's time maybe Ralph maybe looks at maybe a couple of these little fundamentals and maybe decides to maybe alter things a bit?
Yeah, you've hit it on the head, mate. Exactly what I'm thinking, to be honest, and what I've been thinking all week and maybe for the last 4 or 5 games. For me, all season it's been can't say the word. It's been obvious to us, let's just say that, we've needed a defensive midfield player with every United fans been crying out for it. But if you listen to what we've been saying these last few weeks over this podcast, we've been crying out for a centre forward too, and it's becoming more and more obvious now that we're too reliant on Ronaldo. A 37-year-old, don't get me wrong, world class. What I say every week, been one of the best in the game. I don't want to dig the guy out because he's been probably one of the best we've ever had and one of the best we'll ever will see. But he's a guy that has been shoehorned into a centre forward. He's not a natural centre forward; he's a natural winger. And for me, he's not been able to adapt his game as well at United as I would have thought he would have been able to. Don't get me wrong; he's still our top goal scorer. We're still reliant on him. We've said it before. If we wouldn't have had him, where would the goals have come from? Rashford's been off form. Martial's been moved on. Obviously, Greenwood, what happened to him? It's becoming more and more obvious now that we are short of a striker, and or two, and we're short of a world-class striker. Not a name, like we said before. We don't need to go out and buy and pay over the odds on a superstar name. Just get someone who's going to get your goals and who's going to fit into the ideas of rather if Ralph's system or the next manager's system. We need that. We need that massively. And I think that moving on, that's what we're going to have to go for. We're going to have to go for players which are going to buy into a system what the next manager is going to want us to play. But just touching on the game at the weekend, we did lack conviction and we lacked a lot of composure. But also, to me, the decision-making for a long time has been terrible. Ronaldo, when Bruno was one-on-one, don't get me wrong, and Phil will tell you this, strikers like scoring goals. And if they're one-on-one with a goalkeeper, then 9 times out of 10, they're going to have a shot. But to me, all Bruno needed to do was slide that ball over to Cristiano. He's got an absolute tap-in. We're 1-0 up. Let's get a couple of goals up before we start getting greedy. We've not had the decisions over the last, I don't know, few games where we've had really the liberty to be greedy. We want to start winning games. The games that we're drawing, we should be winning these games, and a lot of it's down to bad decision making. Give the guy at the side of you a tapping. Let's get 1 or 2 goals up, and then let's try start doing things. You know what I mean? We're not at that stage where we used to be, where we could take the liberties of being a bit greedy in that. We want to win games. We need to start winning games. And for me, a lot of it has been decision making. I've watched threads and things on YouTube and Twitter where the chances were we could have won the games if we would have just laid the ball off to someone 5 yards out in front of goal for open nets. But instead, we've took the shot on, and ultimately we've drawn that game or lost that game. And for me, it's obvious that the decision making needs to be a whole lot better at the top of the pitch. I mean, we're not struggling creating chances. The chances we're creating, we're creating masses of them. We're just struggling with putting them away.
Yeah, massively. And look, I think we are kind of, obviously Ronaldo is the way number 9 we have, and I think, look, there's a lot of pressure on Cristiano at the moment in terms of scoring every week. Now, he scored a lot of goals this season. It's kind of where I would give him a free pass at the moment in terms of that, because I think there's a lot of pressure on him. And I think, obviously, with Cavani being out, like, Ralph said he's back this week, though potentially, like, Cavani being out, obviously Mason is gone at the moment. Like, there's other aspects of the team where the other players aren't taking their chance here. I think it's kind of unfair to kind of really pile on Ronaldo really at the moment. I think, look, the decision making has been sometimes looks amateurish at times, and not just Ronaldo. I'm talking about the rest of the team. I think
I was more on about, sorry, Keane, I wasn't on about Ronaldo. I was more on about Bruno and the other day about the stuff what he was doing. What to me, if he would have just done the simple things, we would have won that game. Not a question of a doubt. They're not chances where he's putting someone through in the 1-on-1 with a keeper. The chances where it's a 5-yard pass and it's an open goal for Ronaldo. And you know what I mean? And that's the difference. Pass him the ball. Let's play as a team. Let's play as not individuals. Let's get the wins. It's all right creating all these chances, but we need to win. And at the minute, we're not doing it because of stupid decision making.
Yeah, and again, it goes down to like killing games off and being ruthless. And at the moment, we're not that. And essentially, like, what kind of, I suppose for me, it's some of the games I'm watching as of late, right? Do you know the games where we have more of the ball? We seem to be less ruthless in front of goal, it seems. You look at the games where we have less of the ball, we're clinical. Do you know what's Atletico Madrid? We barely any chances on goal. Anthony Langa gets one chance. Bang, we score. We played against Chelsea not too long, well, a couple of months ago. We had, barely any of the ball. One counter-attack, bang, goal. Ruthless. Do you know, we played against Villa. It was 50-50. Do you know, then, look, we got a chance to score the goal. Leeds dominate us in the second half. Do you know, for that kind of, I'd say, 10-minute spell, we were getting battered. Then we get one counter-attack, goal. And then, obviously, floodgates open because Leeds are Leeds and they can't defend, but that's another story for another day. But, like, do you know, like, in that regard, like, you look at some games where the onus is fully on us to attack. It's almost like the players overthink. It's like they're overthinking at the minute. Like Bruno, especially. I think Bruno sometimes is overthinking his passes. Do you know, maybe sometimes Rashford can take that one less touch. Like, to be fair, Anthony Elanga has been very clinical as of late. I think anytime Elanga gets in front of goal, bar Saturday, like, he's been very good in front of goal. So I wouldn't kind of put him under pressure, really. But I think it's almost the games when we have more of the ball, our forward players are overthinking. Whereas the games where we're playing on the counter, they know they don't have time to overthink and they just, they make the right decision. So I don't know what it is. It's weird. I just find it weird because we've seen some of these players in the past deliver good chances, score goals, be very creative. But it kind of boggles me. Though it boggles the eye sometimes, kind of looking at some of the chances that we don't take, or that the passes on, they don't do it. Like, some of the decision making is baffling. But one thing, Reese, that, look, I suppose that we have noticed as of late is our fullbacks at the moment. It seems like since Ralph Rangnick has brought Alex Telles into the team, he seems to be giving us an extra outlet on that left-hand side. Now, in the last two games, he's been a very good outlet. Now, do you maybe think that Man United, we need to be utilising our fullbacks more for these pullbacks, such as maybe Diogo Dalot and Telles to be playing at the same time? So, for example, last week, Wan-Bissaka did play well, but he probably didn't put enough balls into the box. But his tackles were very good. He was very good at defending last week. Do you maybe think in these games where we do have, let's say, 60 to 70% possession, that Manchester United should be looking at playing Dalot and Telles at the same time to kind of make sure that it's not just one wing we're attacking to get these balls into the box, that, like, Lee being a fullback, he'd know this, like, that you have two fullbacks bombing on and creating overloads, for these teams who ultimately sit back and defend.
For me, purely, like, the job of nowadays a fullback, it's not more about the defending anymore. It is more about the attacking into the box. And I think we saw it last season as an example, where pretty much 57% of our attacking position came from the left wing because we had nothing on the right-hand side. Now we've got the right-hand side and we're not even using it. So, frankly, I'm saying this in the respectful way possible. What is the point of Man United playing wingers now and playing attacking fullbacks? Like, what's the point? And I say that in the respect of, if we're not going to use both sides of the width, we're just going to rely on one side, then virtually there's no point. You may as well just go in a narrow position and play a compact compact system that goes through the middle. If you're going to play using the fullbacks, you're going to have to use both attacking fullbacks at the same time. The problem with Dalot is, like, he is very good going forward, but he's very suspect going back. And Wan-Bissaka is the complete opposite. Wan-Bissaka is not particularly good going forward, but when he's coming back, he's very good. He has moments where his positional awareness is appalling, but he's got the recovery pace and he's got to understand that he knows he can put a tackle in where he can retrieve the ball.
Very good as well.
Yeah, he's got the recovery pace in there to at least recover the ball and get forward to a player like, for example, a Fred or McTominay, whoever's in that position, and then they'll just progress the ball quickly to, like, Pogba or Fernandes, and they'll just take it from there. I've said it to you before, and I stand by. In the summer, Man United need to sell Shaw, Dalot, and Telles. As much as I like it, we need to actually improve on the fullbacks we've got. If we have to, I said it to you before. I know it sounds horrific, but it is like Man United. Realistically, they have to actually attack the transfer window like Manchester City. They've actually got to look at it. If you want in the summer, we need to actually improve positions, and we need to actually get it right. If we have to buy 3 fullbacks to give us the depth on the right hand side where it's competitive, where both players will improve each other, then do it. If we have to do it from the left hand side, then we do it. I don't think fullbacks for an entire season will actually benefit us. I think we actually do need to improve it in the summer, but for now, you've got to play Dallo and Telles.
Yeah, I think against the teams that sit back, that's definitely the way forward. Now, Nikos has Nikos, sorry if I pronounced your name wrong there. He says, Telles attacks better than Shaw, but runs out with steam. Wan-Bissaka and Shaw to start against City. Possibly, probably because we won't have the ball. Luke Shaw maybe preferred. Like, not that we won't have the ball, but we have less of the ball than we usually have. You're probably right. Wan-Bissaka and Shaw may be the preferred options. But Shaw has played well against City in the past. So, like, look, maybe lightning can strike twice. I don't know. No, in that regard, and he said he also agrees. Says very true. We need an upgrade on the fullbacks. Like, I think definitely in certain games we need progressive fullbacks to like. I think especially if Jadon Sancho on the left hand side, especially you need a player overlapping the whole time because he'll beat that first man. He cut inside and then he'll pop it into that fullback to pop that cross into the box. Like, have you seen how Sancho worked at Dortmund when he had Hakimi on the right or Guerrero on the left? When he had either one, the two of them alongside him, the fullbacks will progress and they'd always have the extra outlet. Now, Reece being obviously having his Rangers cap on, he won't be rating Dortmund too much. But do you know, like, I think
they're a decent side.
But like, if you look at the way that Hakimi and Joe Guerrero used to play alongside Sancho would bring the ball in, beat the first man, Joe cut inside, and then one of them would provide that overlap, and then they'd whip that ball into Haaland, and they'd score that similar type of goal. Like, I think if United next season, I think, especially whether it's Ralph or Ten Hag or Pochettino, they're going to need attacking fullbacks. Whether it's any 3 of them managers who we have next season, you're going to need an attack. You're going to need fullbacks who progress going forward and who are well balanced. That's why I keep saying, when Ethan Laird comes back from loan, I think he will be someone that Man United will be looking at to be challenging that first choice right back. I think one of the fullbacks will be gone in the summer. I just don't know who. But I think generally, if United need to kind of to create, I know we're creating enough chances as it is, but like in terms of dragging more players out of position so we can have the extra dimension, I think then the fullbacks need to be utilised that bit more. And that's why in these games when, especially between now and the end of the season, when we know we're going to have more of the ball, I think Dallo and Telles need to be preferred. Obviously, in games like Sunday, where we're probably going to have to sit back, we'll probably have to soak up a bit of pressure. Positionally, Wan-Bissaka is like, in terms of Raheem Sterling on that side, Wan-Bissaka traditionally has done very well against them. He has pocketed them number of times, so I think that's where he may be preferred. And my only concern with Shaw is lately him getting caught at the back post. If Riyad Mahrez is playing, Mahrez making them runs in there, or Phil Foden, he could get caught. But look, this is where it'll be very interesting to see these duels on the weekend. But
I think we need to use them differently. I don't think we should play a back 4 against City. I know we'll get to that later, but I think right now Telles' best football was when he was at Porto. Yeah, he was playing as a back. He was playing the back 4, but he wasn't playing as a left back. He was playing as a wing back. I actually think maybe against City and maybe for a while longer, I think as of Sunday, we should start playing a 3-4-3. I think we should play Telles as a wing-back and let him focus solely on attacking teams. Because he, like you said, he doesn't have the positional awareness as a defender. But going forward, he's delivering into the box, he's attacking awareness, his pace as well. Like, I know like Shaw's slightly quicker, but Telles, I think, he's quicker up here with his brain. He thinks faster, like in a position. So obviously, Lee is a fullback. He might agree with me on that one. A fullback's most dangerous asset isn't their pace or their delivering to the box. It's how they use their brain in terms of like defensive positions where they can then get on the ball and then counter progressing forward. If we have that, and I think Dallo is particular. So obviously I watch Italian football. He played really well as a wing back, and I think they do the exact same. Play a back 3. If you have to play Shaw on the left hand side with his left foot, that's fine. But I reckon as of Sunday, I say we go back 3 and play a 3-4-3 because I think you'll get the best out of the wing backs.
I actually wrote when I've been trying to write the teams down this week. I actually went with that back 4. With a a back three and the 2 wing backs. I actually do think he'll not do that this week, but I think he'll play Shaw just because I think Shaw's defensive role is better than Telles. But predominantly for me, if we did play the system like you've just said, it would be Telles all the time. The just even for the delivery that he puts into that box, we've said it a few times on the podcast, Reece, about the centre forwards and the type of centre forwards we've got in Ronaldo and Cavani, and about crosses getting into them. That's what they'll thrive on nowadays.
Yeah.
Luke Shaw, even when he plays well and he gets up there, he seems to not cross the ball early. He seems to get in a position where he's passing it into the box. He doesn't seem to whip the ball in there. With Telles, you're getting a complete different player as a fullback, which he's first thought in his mind when he gets to a certain part is, can I whip this? And with the delivery he's got, and with the centre forwards options we had at the beginning of the season in Cavani when he was playing, and obviously your Ronaldo's, it was crying out for that type of system or that type of wing back to play that way. Unfortunately,
it's effective.
It is effective. But like you've got to utilize what you've got. And like I said, we've got 2 aging centre forwards there, but they've been 2 of the best. Well, Cavani obviously as a centre forward has been one of the best in the world. And Cristiano Ronaldo has been one of the best players in the world. He's adapted to be a centre forward. He's got a phenomenal ability to head the ball from crosses or do something special from a cross. And this season, we just don't seem to get the ball into the box. No one here as quick as we should. We don't seem to cross the ball. We seem to get into a crossing position and come out all the time and thread it back into the midfield or come back, and we want to get the full-backs back. But like I say, we're passing it across the 6-yard box, and for me, it would work. I think it could be I actually went with that system until I have changed it because I personally don't think he'll go with that. But if it was me picking a team, I think I would probably go with a back three.
It reminds me of Van Nistelrooy. It reminds me of Van Nistelrooy in his latter season where he was like the main focal point. Sir Alex Ferguson, he went away from his 4-4-2 and he went 4-5-1 because he's like, well, I don't need a partner for you. I've got the best like attacking winger in the league in Beckham, who's got the best cross of a ball by a mile. Just whip the balls into you, no bother. And then obviously when that changed, you had to find a different outlet. So I think Ronaldo's in that situation now. He's the Van Nistelrooy of this team. It's get the ball to him in any way possible. The problem is this ain't like 2004. The defensive capabilities of the defenders now are so much faster. He's having to adapt differently. I think you can't pull him too deep, but if you want to get the ball into the box,
the other thing with that too is you mentioned Beckham. The other thing for me too on that, going back onto the fullbacks, was how underrated was Gary Neville as getting up there supporting Beckham. When Beckham wouldn't cross the ball, it come back to Nev. Gaz Nev used to put a sweet ball in. You know what I mean? That's the difference in fullbacks this day and age to when I was playing, the guys I was playing with, to the fullbacks we've got now. They don't seem to want to play that way at all. It's
the only fullback that does it really is Trent. Trent does it, but
I think we've said it before, Keane, on the podcast. I think if we could merge Wan-Bissaka and Dalot as one player, and we could merge Shaw and Telles into one player, we'd have two.
That's the perfect fullback.
We'd have 2 decent fullbacks. You know what I mean?
Be all right. I would be fine.
Just on the back of this weekend's game, obviously, we were very lucky this week to actually get some insight from former Manchester United assistant coach Rennie Mullenstein. Full interview will be out either this evening or tomorrow on Talk Devils website. So I'm actually going to just quote exactly what Rennie Mullenstein told us here on Talk the Devils and how he thinks Man United can actually beat Manchester City this weekend. So I'm going to quote exactly what he said. So he said, people say Manchester City are not playing as well this season. Guardiola, in his last game against us, his strategy which he deployed was the highest and most intense press he could find. He wanted to suffocate United to not even play the counter-attack. That's exactly what he's going to do this Sunday. He said, if United can find if United from the first moment have the intention to play out from the back, and they probably will, City will do the same to them. You have to hope City aren't playing well. Pep Guardiola isn't daft. The players aren't daft. The pressure is on them. The best way to get rid of the pressure is to go full throttle against us. They'll want the ball so we can't get at them. Rennie Mullenstein also proceeds to say then to us, he said, if United forget that and push up and go along for the first half, and if they decide to press City in their half and then drop the defenders deep enough to play around when they get the ball, that would be the way I'd start the game, because you can't win the game in the first half half hour, but you can lose it. On the back of what Reading Mullestein has just quoted to us here on Talk the Devils, Phil, obviously there's been times when we've gone to the Etihad, especially under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, where we've gone there, we've pressed them in midfield, we've been quick in our transition, and we've done very well, obviously, with a front three of Martial, James, and Marcus Rashford in terms of pinning them on their centre backs and their full backs. When you hear that there, do you think it's maybe best for United to maybe try ride out the first half an hour of the game and maybe go into the game after that and kind of really pressure Manchester City? And like, for once, it's going to be a full stadium this weekend. They're obviously, well, you think Manchester Derby, there's going to be a full stadium. Do you think it's maybe good to kind of keep the pressure off in that first half an hour, get through that, and then create a bit of tension, not so much also towards the fans, but within Man City's team, because if they're not unlocking the door, does the game then open up maybe for Man United?
Yeah, definitely. I think the biggest factors in sort of getting a result against Man City is you've got to stay in the game as long as you can. You've got to be brave on the ball. You've got to want to sort of, take the ball when there's going to be people around you pressing you, because I think that's the only way really you can play through them at times. As I said, I think they do press really well. They're well drilled. We've seen that. Obviously, Pep Guardiola's got them, all singing off the same hymn sheet. So yeah, obviously, if we can keep that to 0-0 maybe up until half time, then that'd probably give us more of an opportunity in the second half to be a little bit more expansive. But the only problem with that is, and I think the way that we have been playing a little bit, especially against the better teams, is sometimes I don't think we've got the players who can deal with them balls in sort of tight areas and be able to sort of not sort of sustain possession. I think sometimes when the ball changes over, Man City are relentless, and I think if we're not sort of switched on and sort of everybody's on top form, they're going to have that many sort of attempts and that much possession. We're going to be lucky to probably not concede, and obviously the way we've been this year, it doesn't fill you with great hope that we can see out a game and maybe keep a clean sheet and nick a goal in the second half. But I think what we've just said there, we've got to try and we've got to be brave on the ball. You've got to want to sort of accept it in tight areas, and I think we have got players who can do that, but it's just about being able to do it consistently, which I worry, because I think Manchester City, when they're playing, you watch them and you watch all the top teams, they're all sort of really comfortable on the ball. They all know what they're doing. They just lend it to each other, and it's all they're calm and composed, and they don't look like they're rushed. Whereas I think at the moment with us, sometimes, especially in the sort of bigger games where we're getting pressed, and you need that little bit of a cool head and somebody to just kill the game at times, and sort of somebody who can just dictate the play and sort of grab the game by the scruff of the neck. I don't think we've actually got that one particular leader or that person who can do that and dictate the game from the middle of the park. So it is going to be a tough game. Obviously, Man City, fantastic team. I don't think they've been playing as well as they had been in previous weeks. So we have got, that maybe going for us. But, it's a derby game, so you've got to keep your head. The emotions are going to be high. It's obviously going to be the first time a crowd's been back in sort of, since COVID, really. So we've got to sort of just be able to sort of manage the game in stages for me. And if we can get to sort of half-time still in the game, then that'd be a great start, and maybe then you can be a little bit more expansive and try and get some out of the game.
A lot of things people are saying, Lee, is bravery. And Man United being brave, Man United kind of taking the game by the scruff of the neck. Do you maybe think, obviously we've seen this before at the Etihad, Paul Pogba has played fantastically well at the Etihad many times when he's played there. And he's taken the game by the scruff of the neck against City previously. Do you maybe think Paul Pogba, if we're looking at beating these transitions and beating City's first phase of the press, that we're not going to just need Pogba's, like as Nikos says in the comments, class in the ball. But you think do we need Pogba's physical presence in there, and maybe him to get himself about and maybe try to beat the likes of Bernardo Silva in there?
Massively, mate. Yeah. I've wrote something down here, and I think we need to somehow play a lot more like a team, not just in playing football, but actually helping each other out. And it starts from body language for me too. One of the main issues I have is, and I've had it all seasons when I've watched the lads, if something's going wrong, instead of there being any encouragement, it seems like they start sulking, and the body language looks, down and distraught, and they're getting a bit peeved off with themselves and others around them. But other teams, when they play against that, they're going to notice that on the field, and they're going to think, we've got these where we want them. Now, for me, when we play City, it's going to be hard. Let's not beat around the bush here. That City at the minute are a much better squad than we've got, and they're a much better team as footballers and as a collective. For me, we need to on Sunday we need to perform as a team and work hard for each other on and off the ball, and get our body language. Like, I mean, Bruno, when he gives the ball away, he looks around and he looks to blame others for making the run or whatever. And sometimes it's just a bad pass. And then Ronaldo, sometimes he does something, or he doesn't get the ball, or he cocks up or whatever. And instead of running back or getting back in position and taking his breather, he's staying there and looking around and hands on his head and, I should have scored. Well, no, get back in position, because if we do get a quick turnover in possession in midfield, and then we go and look at the break, we're suffering because Ronaldo's halfway up the field feeling sorry for himself because he's missed a chance, but we can't play the ball to him, and he's offside. So we need to pick up the pace a lot. We need to defend better. We need to do a lot of things better, but we need to perform as a team better. And I think if we can do that, big and packed, try and win the ball back as much as we can. And when we do win the ball back, and I know it's going to be hard to win the ball back off City players, but when we do, we need to break quickly, as quick as we can, hit them on the counter-attack and be clinical. And I feel that's the way, if we're going to get anything. And like I say, it is a big if, but if we're going to get anything out of the game, that's the way we're going to have to play to do it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that we're going to have to, I think everything is going to have to be snappy in terms of how we win this game. I think our passing is going to have to be snappy. I think Scott McTominay, one thing McTominay does sometimes is he hides sometimes when that first pass can be received. But the one thing that he does do well on the flip side, that sometimes he receives that pass, he beats that first phase of the press well. He uses his body, he uses his physical presence. That's one thing I want to see. If McTominay is starting on Sunday, be brave taking the ball, use your physical stature, go on them duels with De Bruyne. Do you know what I mean? Or Bernardo Silva, or Gundogan, whoever's in midfield for him. McTominay, yes, as a technical player, yes, he doesn't have the best technical ability in the world, but one thing he does have, beats the first line, the press well. He's strong. Now, isn't the best tackler in the world, but you're damn sure he gets stuck in and disrupt things in midfield. So we do need McTominay to do that this weekend. Similarly, if Fred's playing, Fred always seems to have a decent game against City. Bar the one at Old Trafford now did there a couple of months ago that I was at, I actually felt sorry for Fred. He was literally running all around the pitch. He's like the only player in the midfield trying to win the ball back. I actually felt so sorry for him that day. I was just watching him and I was like, do you know what? I've criticised Fred so much in the past. And I was watching him in the last derby at Old Trafford, and I just felt sorry for the man because he was working so hard, but he couldn't get the ball back. But hopefully, I think if we're to win this game, he's actually going to be an important player, because last season in the second half, he was probably one of the best players on the pitch at the Etihad. So if Fred can play well, McTominay can play well, and they can help cause disruption for City in midfield, then if they can do that, then you have your Pogbas, your Brunos to play that pass and put the quick players in, like Elanga, Sancho, players like that. But Reece, obviously kind of touching on the game, we've talked about Manchester derbies of past. There's been classic games. There's obviously been games where we've lost by a considerable scoreline. But for you, I'm going to come to the whole panel on this just before we kind of go into our kind of starting 11 predictions and score predictions. But in terms of Manchester derbies of past, what would be your favourite one that you've watched live?
There's a few that stand out for me. Obviously, unrelated ones, I'd have to say the semi-final in the FA Cup when we knocked them out in the semi-final a couple of years ago.
Carling Cup. It was Carling Cup.
Yeah. No one cares.
FA Cup semi-final they beat us. I was like, shit, you didn't remember that one?
No one cares about the Carling Cup anymore, to be honest. That's why they've renamed it twice. I'd have to say 4-3. The absolute embarrassment of Mark Hughes' face just standing there. Obviously, a Man United legend managing Man City getting ripped apart by a Scouser. I mean, that's not something that even he would want to admit. I would have to say the Van Persie's welcome to Old Trafford moment was great as well, like the very late free kick, and then just overall moments for me. Not just for Derby, we won it of course, but the 2000-2001 season, I think it was at maybe in Main Road, and we got a free kick in the first 35 seconds, and Beckham was like, I got this, and he just chipped the goalkeeper from 35 seconds, and he's like, the referee's like, you want to just hit this on you go. So he just ran up and chipped him and celebrated, and I was like, get in. But yeah, I think there's more good memories than bad memories, but the other one that stands out for me, because it was pure silence in my family, because obviously my family are, my mum and dad are City fans, which is disgusting on its own right.
Can I just ask, right, if your mother and father are City fans, right, how in God's name did you become a Red? How did that happen?
Because this man got in the way.
I'm going to get a pitch rate to Phil now.
No, not him. He's not the reason. This man got in the way.
So he's the reason you started supporting Man United?
Well, to be fair, the first Man United game I ever watched, we beat Arsenal 2-1 at Highbury, and Keane scored a double. But there you go. That was a very long time ago. But the other game that stands out for me, funnily enough, is we played them. It would have been, if City had won the game, it would have been 5 Derby wins on the bounce. It was my 18th. We beat them 4-2. Fellaini's cracking header.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously I'm sitting on the couch watching the football with the parents on my 18th, and they're saying, oh, we're going absolutely thrashes. And I'm like, yeah, we'll see. What happened? And that's right, didn't talk for the rest of the day. But that was good. So yeah, that's probably my favourite Derby, just because you see silence, just the beauty of silence of winning the Derby. I was like, I can sit back and relax now.
What sometimes they say the best sounds in the world is the sound of silence sometimes, and especially if your parents were City fans, I'd say that was.
I don't know. It's all like way back in like the 80s and 90s, like the Man City teams that have went through like relegation, so at least they've seen pain. I haven't. All I've seen is recent pain of not winning the league title, but I didn't see the relegation season, but at least I've watched it back. So
yeah, absolutely. And Nikos in the comments here, he says his favourite derby beating City 3-2, Keane scoring the winner.
93-94 season. Ooh, very nice.
Yeah. Wayne says his favourite one is Cantona scoring 2 after coming back from suspension, or the one later in the year where Kanchelskis scored the hat-trick. There you go. We're getting a lot of great memories in here today, guys. And Victoria's Secret always says has to be the 4-3 in 2009.
Fun fact though, like obviously you guys will know this, but fun fact, Kanchelskis was the last Manchester United player to actually scored a hat-trick in the derby. There's not been a hat-trick since by a Man United player.
I didn't know that, to be fair.
Well, there's a fun fact.
He was a player, Kanchelskis, wasn't he? He was a legend. You wouldn't mind him running down the wing now, would you?
You'd love his energy now.
You'd definitely take him, wouldn't you?
100%, and twice on Sundays. Phil, we may need to get you to unmute your mic there, pal. So I was about to ask you your favourite. I was trying to unmute you there, and I said, guest won't leave you do it. But there you go. But Phil, can you obviously you played against Manchester City yourself at the football club. What's your favourite Manchester derby? First of all, playing them, then also supporting Man United.
Playing them, I think, was I used to love all the games. Really, I think they used to always be a great occasion. Playing first off at Platt Lane, which used to be the old training ground for Man City. There used to be loads of great games that we had down there. But the one that sticks out was actually the day before my crash. We played him in the Youth Cup at Old Trafford, and we beat him sort of late on, 2-1. So that was obviously a great moment for me to obviously, be a part of that team and obviously to come on and sort of have a bit of a hand in the winning goal for Sylvan Ebanks-Blake. So yeah, that was obviously a great moment for me. Obviously being a young kid, I was obviously only 17, so that was a big moment for me. So yeah, that's probably the best game I've played in. But obviously there was
Who would have been your toughest opponent? Obviously being a forward, who was like the toughest opponent you would have played against in the derbies?
Michael Richards, you said once.
Yeah, Micah Richards was always, somebody who I used to have a lot of tussles with. Very strong, quick. And there was Nader Manua. He was another one.
He was very good.
Yeah, as a young kid, there was them two I used to have a lot of tussles with.
There was a lad in midfield, if you remember, called Schumacher, and he was a player and a half too. I don't know what had happened to him, but he was tremendous growing up.
Yeah, no, they had some really good players. As I said, Man U and Man City both had sort of, a fantastic youth team and a sort of always had great games. In fact, one of them's just come back to me now. I actually scored the winner at the Etihad, not the actual Etihad, but the ground outside the ground against Joe Hart. I scored with my left foot, I cut in and scored the winner. We won 1-0. And that was in the Manchester Senior Cup sort of semi-final or something. So that was a match-winning goal against Joe Hart and the team. If you look back at the team on the team sheet, from that game, I think they had about 7 or 8 players who's gone on to have either play in the first team at Man City or have great careers. There was players such as, obviously Joe Hart was in net. I think Ben Mee played centre half. I think there was Stephen Ireland played, Ishmael Miller.
My favorite Irish guy.
Yeah. There was some great names on there. They're just a few to just obviously reel off. But there was a wealth of talent on that pitch. So that was another good moment for me. I think going into the first team, obviously Rooney's overhead kick. I was there for that game. And what a moment that was, just to be at the ground and obviously witness, such an amazing goal. That was probably one of the best games I've obviously watched. I think just for that moment alone, really. But yeah, obviously we think we've touched on some of the other ones, which have been iconic games. But I think just for that moment and for that goal, obviously me being there as well, I think that's probably one of my favourites. So yeah.
I think I just lost. Well, you back, Lee?
Lee doing his disappearing act again.
I'm in and out all the time, mate. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yeah.
They say Houdini was a master of the arts, but I think we found the real one.
I'm here, I can hear you.
Phil, just before we come to Lee there, yeah, we can hear you now. Can you still there?
He's still not paid his Wi-Fi bill. We keep telling him week in, week out. He just won't do it. I know there's a bit of a credit crunch.
Phil, just before we go to Lee on his favourite derby memories, what was your favourite goal against City?
My own personal goal.
Yeah, I don't know if that's your your own personal goal.
Yeah. I think it'd probably be that one I've just mentioned there. Obviously, playing in that game with such a sort of vast amount of talent, and to score the match winner against Joe Hart, cutting in. I think I've actually sent you the video of the goal.
Yes, so I have the video on my phone. Yeah.
So I sort of picked it up.
I would play the video on my phone, but probably get done for copyright. So
don't worry about that. So ball came out to me on the wide, and I've just sort of cut inside and sort of got to around the edge of the box, and I've just hit it with my left foot. Obviously, I'm right-footed predominantly, but I've just caught it sweet, and it's just flew in the top corner, and Joe Hart to give it a full stretch dive as well. So that was a nice moment for me, obviously scoring against City in a derby, and with my weaker foot. And then obviously it turned out to be the winning goal as well. So yeah, that'd probably be my personal, best goal against City. Although I did score quite a lot against City. It was funny because a lot of the goals I used to score a lot against Man City, and I used to score a lot against Liverpool. So
why are you not playing the first team now? Then
exactly. I think I've scored 5 or 6 hat tricks against both Liverpool and United combined from sort of the age of 17 to 21 when I was there.
Ralph, sign them up.
So Just saying, if we need any big moments and big players in them games, give me a shout. I'm still playing.
Yeah, Ralph, if we need a striker there for Sunday, give Phil a ring. Absolutely. And, and Nikos shares the sentiment, says, Marshy, you legend. Lee, you all ready to go? You all okay now?
I could hear every word you guys were saying then, like the Houdini acted his builds and all that. Like, I'm like, I'm here, I can hear you.
I am a wordsmith. I can't say much else.
Lee, what is your favourite? I'll give you the same question I gave Phil.
What's Lee's favourite goal against City? Because it'll be an own goal.
What was your favourite goal? What was your favourite game against City? And what was your favourite game you played in against City? And what was your favourite game being a United fan against City?
To be fair, I scored my best goal against City, but it was an own goal, to be fair. So,
well, there you go.
No, I think it's on my one of my things on Twitter. We played a behind closed doors game it was like a mixture of reserves and first team, and it was one of the games was for one of Ollie's comebacks when he was injured, and we stuffed them 4-2, and they had more or less, I won't say a full strength team, but every player they had was the first team, and we had like a mixture. I think we had Wes Brown, myself, Ollie, Kieran Richardson. We had a good set of a mixture of young lads breaking into the first team and also established players within the first team. And we played away and we absolutely stuffed them 4-2. And I'm sure Ollie scored 2 goals that day.
Lovely.
And that was one of the best memories I have playing against City. And also one of my very, very good friends who I grew up with in Wigan played for City that day, and he played all through the youth academy from under 9s to first team. And it's a lad I grew up with called Lee Croft. And I always remember texting him the day after, and I said, because it was just in that transitional period where we were still the pride of Manchester and always will be, but they was just getting a little bit better and he was getting a little bit cocky. Crofty was saying that they're going to catch us up. So I always remember texting him when we stuffed them 4-2 and told him, you're nowhere near us and you'll never be nowhere near us. So that was a nice memory. And I think Phil, I don't know if Phil mentioned it or not, it's just as I cut off, I think it was the Rooney's overhead kick, wasn't it? I think that's one of the most memorable experiences within a derby game. It's the one that always sticks out in my mind. And I think it's the one with, it'll probably be the one which will always stick out in most modern Man United players, or supporters, should I say, minds. That was a phenomenal moment in football.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Rooney overhead kick is definitely the one that's synonymous with the Manchester derby. Obviously, the Michael Owen winner as well. Like, that was epic. 96 minutes. Gets winner Mark Hughes going off his head on the sideline. That was beautiful. One goal that no one has actually mentioned, and is one of my favourites, is it's actually away, City away, in the same season as the Rooney overhead kick. Paul Scholes' header in like the last minute of the game, and it got us back into the title race. Now, ultimately, there was a dodgy game at Old Trafford a couple of weeks later that got us out of the title race. That we still haven't got justice for that. But like, that header by Paul Scholes, that cross was, like, I think it was Giggsy put in the ball to him in Scholes. It was pure clinical header. Shay Given couldn't get down to it. Shay Given was half full stretch as well, couldn't get to it, and Scholesy, Giggsy, Gary Neville, all them, they were celebrating in front of the away end. There was absolute limbs. That was absolutely a great memory. Obviously, the overhead kick for me is Wayne Rooney being Rooney. There's only one way for him to do it. Like, he's just such an aggressive man. Like, he's so good at what he does, and like, you just know Rooney has that touch of class. He's scored a lot of goals against City. Like, even in the 3-2 game that Van Persie scored the winner free kick, Wayne Rooney was exceptional that day. Like, I remember the finish, he rolled across Joe Hart. It was actually rolling really slowly, but it went right into the corner. That goal was brilliant. And then there was another one then where he ran onto it and slotted it in the bottom corner as well. And Wayne Rooney is, man, I know Van Persie scored the winner and he got the highlight, I suppose the headlines that day, but Wayne Rooney was just a man on a mission that day. When you think about it as well, it was probably one of Yaya Touré's best games in the City shirt as well. He was an absolute monster that day, but we still, there was still obviously the 3 points we got, but I have to get this plug in because obviously we got the overhead kick, but we do have a new book about that man Wayne Rooney, and there's a new book with that goal on the cover. And while we're at that, guys, this is Wayne's new book, Rooney Teenage Kicks. You can get this on Amazon. If you look up Wayne Barton, Wayne Rooney Teenage Kicks, you will get that on Amazon. Wayne, you're going to be like Peter for that plug, but great book. And it's here in my workspace here. Currently reading it. Very good read. And look, if you want to read about and get all the great insights from a lot of people associate Wayne Rooney about one of the greatest Manchester United players of all time, do go on Amazon. Do buy this book. It's absolutely fantastic. And any book Wayne writes is absolutely brilliant. Fergie's Fledglings, all these different types of books. George Best, True Genius. There's fantastic Manchester United books there. And obviously, he does great content over here with Talk Devils as well.
There's one other derby I think we've all forgotten because, mind you, it's in a competition and nobody really cares about it. It was a Community Shield. The very last winner, like the late winner in like the Community Shield as well, where Nani just trolled them. It was just the sheer comedy.
Oh, he did so hard, didn't he? We were 2-0 down that day.
Yeah, and we won 3-2. It was just a sheer comedy of like City, like they're going to go and win the Community Shield. Oh, this is the start. The FA Cup winners versus the champions. Yeah, I don't remember you winning that day though. No, we did. Get in your lane.
Yeah, but look, we can't really talk about that season. What happened in May that season? We're not going to.
Forget May. Forget May. Like forget May 2012. It was July and August 2011 that really mattered.
Yeah, and Cleverly and Anderson were unbelievable in that second half. I remember that they were absolutely fantastic. It was weird. They were a very good partnership. They really complemented each other in midfield. It's a pity about Tom Cleverly's injuries that season because he was actually getting off to a flyer that year, and he never really got back to his best after that. In a United shirt. It's a pity about his injuries because he's actually really good that season. But touching on the Manchester Derby anyway, my favourite part of the show and Reese's first time partaking in this. So let's see how we all deal with it with a new member. Phil, you have someone else coming for you now. So we're going to do our starting 11 predictions and the score predictions for this weekend now. I don't know what the lads are going to pick. I haven't got any inklings. I think Reese already knows my lineup. I named my lineup this week in a group chat that Reese is in, so I don't know if he remembers it. But we'll see how we get on with this one. But Phil, come to you first. Give us your starting 11 for the derby this weekend, and then also just your score prediction.
So I think when we touched on it before, in terms of the potential of having three centre-backs, I think that would probably be a good sort of option against Man City, but I actually don't think that Ralph will sort of do that this week or sort of in the coming weeks. But as we've touched on there with the potential of maybe putting Tellez as a wing-back and Dalot, I think that could be something that we sort of look at maybe moving forward. Whether that's a short-term or a long-term fix is yet to be seen. But as we've said, we do probably need to upgrade them full-back areas. So we'll just have to see how that one plays out. But for me, I'm just going to go with the normal back four lineup. So I'm going to go with De Gea in net. I'm going to go for Shaw at left-back. I'm going to go with Varane and Maguire. Although I think Lindelof probably, has been probably our best centre-back this year, just with the current sort of injuries and sort of, he's had COVID and a few other little bits that I think he'll just sort of miss out in this particular game. I'm going to say Wan-Bissaka just because of his defensive capabilities. Obviously, when you've got Sterling or, Foden or whoever, City choose to play in that position, obviously they've got a wealth of players who can play on them positions. I think we are going to need somebody who's defensively, very good. And I think he's probably our best one-on-one defender we've got. So, yeah, I think he will play. And then I'm going to go for McTominay and Fred. I think that's probably served us well in previous games that we've had. I think their work rate and endeavour and sort of, they break the play up well. I think it's worked pretty good in sort of previous games against City. So I think that's the two that he'll play, and then I think Bruno will play in that forward position. I think Cristiano's going to play up front down the middle. As we've touched on, I don't think we have very many options in that particular position at the moment. So I think he'll be, a cert to play down the middle. And then I think for me, Alanga should start just on the basis that, he's a threat in behind. I think Cristiano's not got that sort of, spinning behind and the sort of pace that he used to have. Now you're going to need that against Man City with the way they play. If we can hit them on the counter-attack, we're going to need pace. So I'm going to say Alanga, and I'm going to go for Rashford as well. I think Rashford potentially could have been somebody who could have been an impact off the bench, but I think he's done really well against Man City in previous games.
He ended Di Michaelis' career, didn't he, in his first derby?
He did. He absolutely tore him a new one. So for me, I'm hoping that he can sort of show what we know he's capable of. I think with Rashford, we know it's there. It's just getting it out of him sort of on a more regular basis and the decision making. So yeah, that's my starting team. I think Sancho is going to be obviously somebody who's going to get on and hopefully have an impact at some point in the game as well. Because I think we are going to need players to come on maybe in the second half and freshen things up, because I think it's going to be a difficult game regardless of what team and what formation he picks. So yeah, that's going to be my starting team. And I think result-wise, sorry, forgot about the result. It's going to be, for me, probably the first time I've said that we're going to get beat on the podcast. I usually, very optimistic. I'm usually sort of, never want to...
Don't do it, Phil.
But I actually, just because of how sort of wasteful we've been in terms of in front of goal and not being clinical enough, I think Man City's sort of back four is probably one of the best, if not in the best, in the league. And I think at this moment in time, we're not going to get nowhere near as many chances as we did against Watford. So I'm actually going to say that it's going to be a 2-1 defeat.
There's no Diaz this Sunday. He is injured.
So, well, I'll change my mind then. If there's no Diaz, I'll say 2-2.
He's injured 46 weeks, so he's out.
Right, Reece, you've pulled me on. It's 2-2.
Oh, Reece, you are... I knew he wasn't playing. I was like, oh, Reece, you're banned now. You're not back next week.
Yeah, he could have predicted defeat. I've just saved you.
Yeah, that's very true. But just to touch on Andy's comment here, Phil actually did put Ronaldo into his team. He said Ronaldo, Alanga, and Rashford. So he actually did put Ronaldo into his team. But since Reece dug Phil out of a hole there now with his...
Diaz not playing, that's made the world of difference now. I think definitely going to get a result out of it now. So thanks for that, Reece. You've sort of saved me from sort of putting a dampener on the podcast and sort of letting us down. So I appreciate that, mate.
And Wayne says Reece is back next week. Executive decision. Overruled. There you go.
Quality.
Overruled by the judge.
I just like the fact that you put in brackets executive decision just straight up. It's just like done.
If it's 2-1 to City, I'm sort of just saying, like, in terms of our sort of predicting, that's another sort of nice score.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to. I think me and Lee need to team up or something and become like the 2-man power trip. If anyone watched WWE, 2-man power trip, you'll know who that is. Stone Cold.
The thing is, though, is both of you aren't bald.
Last time I watched WWE, it was Legion of Doom or the Bushwhackers.
Yeah, we beat the Legion of Doom.
Well, you have got the beard to look Bushwhacker, so you could be Lee. He is the bald one, so you're all right.
On that note, just for the predictions, Reece, I'll come to you next, and then myself and Lee will go next. After that, so give me your starting 11 prediction and also your score prediction for Sunday.
Sort of similar to Lee, I do agree. I would like to see a back three, but it's not going to happen. Same back four and De Gea and goal. I would like to see Lindelof. I agree, he's been by far our most consistent and our best centre back. But you just think with Maguire being the captain, the hefty price tag that he's got, and obviously he's had a very underwhelming season. He's not the only English player. To be fair, they've had a poor hangover, as they've said. It's been consistent around English players this season. They've had a poor hangover after the Euros.
The Premier League in general, not just United.
Yeah,
I think in
true.
general, yeah.
I think this would be a good chance for him maybe to showcase. Maybe he can have a good towards the final couple of months of the season, maybe improve his position, help us more. I think this is probably the best opportunity he's going to get. So De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Varane, Shaw, and then midfield I'm going to go Matic, McTominay, Pogba, and then I'm going something bizarre. This is where it really comes from.
Oh, you're going to do what I was going to do, aren't you?
You're going to do what I'm going to do too.
I'm going up front three. I'm going Sancho, Bruno, Elanga front three.
Same as me.
And I'm going 2-0. And I'm going 2-0. I was on a show last night, funnily enough, and I had midfield of McTominay, McTominay, Fred, and Pogba. Sorry, Bruno. I didn't have Pogba playing. But I was actually thinking about it all day, and I was like, actually, I would rather have Bruno in the centre forward role. So I made a few changes. So, and I'm going goals 2-0 Man United, and I'm going Bruno to score and Varane to score, and
Lovely.
City to miss a penalty.
Oh. Yeah, he's going even more outrageous his score predictions than you. This is getting wild. You have competition now. Well, yeah, look, that's a very bold prediction, but look, it could be a very good prediction. You got a 2-0 that you had last season. Could happen again. Lee, do you have the same lineup as Reese?
Very, very, very similar, mate. Yeah, I've toyed with it a lot over the last couple of days, trying to think of what I'd change, and obviously against City, we can't just play. We've been playing, so I thought we need to kind of try and shake it up a little. So I've gone very similar. Obviously, we've got the game in nets, which is a given. I've actually put Luke Shaw at left back. The reason I put Luke Shaw at left back, I think his defensive capabilities is just a little bit better than Alex Telles' defensive capabilities. Not a whole lot better, bear in mind, and he has been caught out on the back post a few times. So I was torn a little bit, but I think he may start off a little cautious. And if we start doing well, then maybe we can look at swapping and changing how the game progressive. So I've gone with Luke Shaw at left back. I would pick Lindelof all day long and twice on a Sunday. I think he's been 100% our best centre half. That's including Varane, Maguire, everyone. I think Lindelof's been the outstanding centre back this season for us. So I would pick him every day. And I think it's a fight between, at the minute, Varane and Maguire, who plays. Like I said, I've not hit it. I've not been overly keen on Varane since he's been here. Obviously, his record speaks for itself, and we know he can't have won them trophies and been in them teams if he was a bad player. For me, he's just not shown his potential yet. He's probably just getting used to the English game and adapting. So at the moment, I think Varane I would stick in front of Maguire because, like I said, Maguire's been. It seems that when Maguire makes a mistake, it gets punished and it's more noticeable. Sorry, you said Maguire and Inter. We're going with Shaw, Lindelof, Varane, and just for the simple fact that when Aaron Wan-Bissaka's played against Sterling, he's pocketed him a few times now. I think his defensive capability, again, is a lot more than what Dalot gives you. So I would put Aaron Wan-Bissaka in at right back. As a midfield, I've gone with Fred, McTominay and Pogba as a free. I think Fred and McTominay have got an important role to play, as in ratting around that midfield and winning that ball back as soon as they can. And I think that's where we need Pogba's finesse and qualities to shine through. I think that's where he's gonna come into it. When we do win the ball back and we get it to Pogba, he's gonna be the guy who can get it out wide and create, get us going forward. And again, I've dropped Ronaldo. I never thought I would have said that for a derby match, but I've put in Sancho. I think Sancho has been one of our better players over the last 10 games, and he seems to be improving steadily. I still don't think he's the player what we thought we was buying, but I think he's getting up to it. So I'd keep Sancho in there.
Post-winter break, Sancho. I always say post-winter break, Sancho He's the man.
Yeah, I still don't. I've got to be honest, Keane. I still don't think he's the what did we pay for him, 70 or 80 million pound. I don't think he's showed that form yet. But I think he's showing growth, which is good because a lot of players haven't showed growth for a long time. So I think he's in the right. His football's going in the right direction. So yeah, I would definitely keep playing him. I think Elanga is at the minute for me is undroppable. He's a breath of fresh air. Is the guy who's making the runs, who looks like he's trying and wanting to impress. Looks like he's not sulking. He looks like he's getting on with it. So I'd play Elanga. And I've gone for Bruno as a false 9. Now, whether that works or not is there to be seen. And if it doesn't work, there's no heartache in giving it a go. And if it's not working, I wouldn't necessarily say bring Bruno off. But we've got the options to bring Ronaldo on, drop Bruno back, and have a mess around with the midfield. So I think it's although it's not an ideal game to try things out when you're playing your main rivals against City, I feel like if we carried on playing the team and the formations we have been playing, we will struggle. So I think it's something that needs to be explored.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I have the exact same lineup as you, Lee. Except before I get into that and why reason again, other somewhat reasons why I picked it. You forgot your score prediction.
Score prediction. It is hard, and I understand where Phil's coming from. It's going to be a hard game. Let's not make no thing about it. We're going to struggle to get any sort of result. I've always said I will never ever bet against United losing. It's just not in me. I couldn't do it. I think I'd be absolutely made up if we got a draw. And I can see there being goals. I can't see there not being no goals, so I'm going to go for 2-2.
You're going 2-2, so a nice entertaining 2-2 draw. Man United still pick up some points, and it's a good start.
And if Bruno plays a false 9, he's going to score. That's what I'll go for.
Very, very, very good prediction. I think Bruno's a false 9 is what many United fans are calling for to be the regular thing now. I've gone the exact same formation and the exact same 11. Gone obviously David De Gea in the net. That speaks for itself. Wan-Bissaka, again, same reason as because his record against Raheem Sterling is very good. I've gone Lindelof and Varane. I think there's obviously Maguire. Obviously, he was out the side last week, and you look. I know it's only Watford, but United's way of defending, United's way of progressing the ball was chalk and cheese compared to the Atletico Madrid game. So I think you have to look at the Joe Lindelof Varane partnership. I think for balance, it's our best partnership, and I think the summer United may need to look at another centre back maybe alongside Rafael Varane. Even though Lindelof, to be fair to him, he's played well this season. He's been fantastic this season, but I think we do need to maybe get someone in who's a bit more of a world-class level if we do really want to progress. But again, it's not as easy for United to track players as it was 10, 15 years ago. So I think we do have to be mindful of that as well. Again, I've gone Luke Shaw as well, left back. I think just from a defensive point of view, I think it would probably be the better option. Now, look, obviously, if you looked at kind of his last performance in the last derby, I'm not going to lie, it wasn't great. Being in the stadium, he got caught positionally, and it's one of these things where hopefully he can stay switched on for a full 90 minutes, because at the Etihad you're going to have to do that. City are going to be, they're going to be relentless, ruthless, like we sustain attacks. You do need to be on your toes for 90 minutes. Obviously McTominay and Fred, I'd keep them in there for their energy. I think obviously to try win the ball back quickly, help us with the overloads. I think them two are vital. Obviously, I can see Reece's Matic shout. I think Matic, maybe the second half when the game breaks down and City start petering out, then bring Matic on to maybe retain the ball a bit more and get that first pass out of the back four that bit quickly. I think maybe Matic in the second half could be a useful substitution. He's a very good footballer. But I think this high-paced game, high intensity, for the first half at least, I wouldn't play him. I'd wait 6 minutes.
I was thinking not purely for the sense of I know Fred and McTominay have got the more physical sense in terms of they can go longer distance. I was actually thinking you start the game because it's a completely off the cuff decision to start Matic, in the sense where it actually throws City midfielders off their game, because you wouldn't expect Matic to start, and I think it actually would force the Man City midfielders to actually consider change their game. That's why I actually consider starting Matic. You would force them to change it around, because you look when they knocked us pillar to post the last time, it was a typical midfield three of it was Bruno, Fred and McTominay, they knew they were just going to get around us because they knew they could just pass it around us like so quickly. And they know like those players, obviously Fred and McTominay are quick and moving around the ball, but they don't stay still. You know what I mean? Like they don't have the ability to stay an extra like couple of seconds where they're like, actually, if they're just going to pass the ball around us, I'm not going to move.
Matic is much better at dropping back to and helping out his defence, I would say.
He drops in
that
deep.
Could be a strength we used in Matic if we are getting overloaded in midfield with Fred and McTominay and Pogba in there. Then, like I say, I just think I've got a feeling that substitutions will be key for us, definitely.
I agree.
If you know what I mean, I think it is a shout for Matic to start, and I wouldn't be surprised because he's on form too, isn't he? The last couple of games, he's been probably our best midfield player, so he is on form too. So,
and he's the reason we didn't lose against Atletico as well. He was the key reason, I think, for me.
100%.
Winning second balls.
But I do see your point about why not start Matic. But that was my reason for starting Matic. It's the sense like that experience and that ability to just sit deep for that extra 4 or 5 seconds. It could force Man City to change their game. That's why I had Matic starting.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it definitely is. It is a good call. And look, we'll wait and see until Sunday's lineup to see if he does start. Just obviously, same thing like Pogba in there. Just obviously to help us on the break. I think if he can be given that bit of a more of advanced role in the 4-2-3, I think he could be. So he could be vital. And I do think, obviously, the front three have gone Elanga on the right, Sancho off the left, and gone Bruno false 9. People said we can't experiment with Bruno false 9. Well, we played Bruno false 9 against Chelsea away this season, and it caused Chelsea a lot of problems on the break with Sancho and Rashford at the time. It caused them a lot of trouble. Now, obviously, Rashford probably won't start because of his form, but Elanga is more direct than Rashford. And so I think having Sancho and Rashford there, like Sancho and Elanga there, bombing on when Bruno drops deep and to pop them balls in behind could cause City a lot of problems, especially if it's Stones and Laporte at the back or Aki and Laporte at the back. It could cause a lot of problems. So I think Bruno false 9 could be massive, especially with Diaz out. If Diaz was playing, I think, look, Bruno could find it hard. Diaz could maybe rough him up a bit. If John Stones is back there with Laporte, John Stones can be got at. I think Laporte can be got at as well. There is times where Laporte can be dodgy as well. Like, he's better with Diaz beside him because Diaz is that partner.
He's their glue. Yeah, he's their glue.
Yeah, Diaz is the glue at the back. So I think if Bruno can get them spaces and Bruno can drop in deep, pop them little passes out, Pogba can make them kind of late runs, then the balance of the system could work really well. And then almost then you can have like McTominay and friends sitting there and be like, look, you two just stay disciplined. You stay disciplined. Anything breaks, you come out and get it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what you could do. But again, it's just, if we can do that in theory, that could work well. Or even in certain elements of possession, we could switch to a 4-2-2. Do you know?
It's true.
Like that's what we could do. We could switch that at certain points of the game. Like, the system doesn't have to be just a rigid 4-3-3. At certain parts of the game when we're defending, it could be different. So I think if you play Bruno false 9 as well, what that does do, like if you look at the way City have their fullbacks tucking in, and João Cancelo is a very massive part of that City system. Us playing a false 9 could cause that to a massive disruption. So I think from a pressing point of view, I think we should do that. But it remains to be seen.
I agree with the comments, though. What was made, it's going to be a massive decision to drop Ronaldo in the derby. It's going to take a lot of balls from Ralph Rangnick to do that. I think he has got the balls to do it. Don't get me wrong. I think he's one manager what will do it, but it's going to be a big decision for him to make.
If he does it, give him the permanent job end of the season.
And if it works, personally, yeah, definitely.
That was my thinking behind obviously behind my team. I actually thought about that myself, but I just thought, I don't think the player power and obviously the pull that somebody like is so big, and I just don't think he will be dropped, unfortunately. I mean, whether it's right or wrong, yet to be seen, but I just think Ronaldo's got to be playing in the high-profile games.
I mean, the other thing is, too, is what I've seen a lot of people are saying, you should be playing on merit and not your name. But then again, Bruno's not been outstanding this season, has he? And we've all said we'll ship Ronaldo out and put Bruno up there, but Bruno's not had his best season. So again, it's an hard one. It's an hard decision to make. I could understand if Bruno has been absolutely smashing it in midfield, and having the season he had a couple of seasons ago, but he's not had the season what we all expected. So it's just going to be hard all the way around for me. It's going to be hard to pick the team, hard to pick the formation. It's going to be hard to pick up any points, but let's all just keep our fingers crossed. And if we work hard and work as hard as a team, I think that's key. We've got to play like a team. I think that's when you watch City and you watch the individuals that they've got. They've got fantastic individuals, but they also play so well as an 11, and they all look like they play for each other. Well, I think that's the massive difference with us at the moment. What's missing? We're still a team of individuals who want to play as a team, but we've just not got it together yet.
There's always time for wee Charlie McNeil.
Not this weekend, but it would.
I don't care. I would still do it.
It'd be great to see him. If anyone's breaking through, it's going to be Hannibal. It's going to be Hannibal. I don't care what anyone says. If anyone watched that Unity game the other night, that guy he shouldn't be playing with the 23s.
Yeah,
that's all I'd say.
I watched the extended highlights. He looked a different class today on both teams. So not just for United, he looked a different class with him Dortmund too.
Yeah, and Marcus was saying it the other night, and I was like to quote Marcus Skinks. I really love that quote. I've quoted it to a couple of lads as well. Ralph Ragnick needs to put Hannibal into the deep end and let him swim. That's what he needs to do. And I think
sink or swim.
Sink or swim. I think that's what we should do with Hannibal. I think Hannibal should be called up. Not for this game. Before the end of the season, though, Hannibal needs to be given a role in that 4-3-3 in midfield.
There's a fair few of them. I've said it to you a few. There's a fair few of them, like Garnacho as a winger. I really like watching Garnacho play in the team. I like Llorado. I like watching Wilf. I like watching Fish. I like watching Teddy Mengi now and then.
He's a fullback. Is it Fernandez? Is that
Fernandez? Yeah, the left back.
He looks like a good lad too. To be fair.
I like the two of them, Llorado and Fernandez. Like they work really well as a partnership. Obviously, Ethan Laird's also on loan, but he seems to be the prime one. The midfield is good enough. Like
Chong's back at Birmingham, isn't he?
Yeah, and Garner can be Garner as well.
Yeah, I just think if you look at
still out on loan, they've got the lads there, haven't they, to be given a chance.
He was unlucky. He was unlucky that he was offside the other day as well. Like Garnacho against Dortmund, he could have 2 goals against them. Like,
and then McNeil, that penalty decision was horrible. But look, this is not a review of the 23s game, because if I get into that, we'll be here about 3.5 hours if I go on about that penalty decision.
True.
But
I like the fact there is some top talent there. There is definitely something that can.
Then you've also got the lads too. What's also had a chance, like Choratives and people like that, who's dipped the toes in.
Charlie Savage.
Savage, yeah.
The Sedan
Iqbal. Yeah. There's lads they've had a little leak at it, haven't they? Maybe it's time to let them step up and give them a chance.
Absolutely, and you two both know better than us what it's like to make that jump up from the youth team to first team, and what it's like to be given that chance and shine. So, look, by all means, we have the talent there. I dare to say if either Ten Hag or Pochettino come in, their two managers will have you. So, and if Ralph Ragnick is on.
Oh, sorry, I got a cough. I think I said Enrique. I'm not sure.
Me, with Ralph Ragnick, it's hard to judge because he's like say he's not been given any time or any money or anything to create his own team. He's just been given. He's just there to steady the ship, and it's a shame because I feel like if he did have the time and he got the money and he could bring his own players in, I really do think he could do a job.
So do I.
Yeah,
personal bias. So do I. Like, I think he could if you just give him the opportunity. But sad reality is he ain't gonna get it.
No, definitely not.
But if we do get one of any of the managers we're linked with, there's a good platform there. Look, it just depends on what their idea is and whether our players will adapt to that. But on that note, I'm going to give my score prediction just before we wrap up the show. Reece said 2-0. Phil said, was it 2-2? Lee said, do you see a draw as well, did you, Lee?
2-2, mate, yeah.
2-2. I can't believe I'm actually going to do this.
If you say defeat, you're getting FaceTimed after this. I'm not joking.
If you say defeat, you're not the host anymore. Reece is taking over.
No, I'm not going to say a defeat, but I can't believe I'm actually going to say it.
He was close.
No, it's not a defeat, but I can't believe I'm actually saying this. We're winning 1-0 and we're keeping a clean sheet. We're keeping a clean sheet at the Etihad. We're nicking a 1-0. And do you know what?
That, didn't you?
Has he had a bottle of wine before he's come on this podcast?
I swear this is not red wine in here. My body here. This is not not.
He's done a me for the transfer deadline show when I whipped out a pack of bonbons.
I just brought out the diluted there, but no, I'm going to go 1-0 United. And you know what? Do you remember the Wayne Rooney moment when he scored or he got a tackle against Everton at Goodison Park, and he done that, and like he was like, you know, he pointed at the crest and said, like, United won this ground. Well, I'm going to go 1-0. I'm going to go a Sancho winner and Sancho to recreate that moment that he had. Now that'd be something, a moment of beauty. That'd be a moment of beauty.
Yeah, that would actually be funny as well.
That would be just a moment of beauty, and everyone knows me from social media. I think I'd be on the wind-up anyway on Sunday evening if that happened. But on that note, we're going to leave it there, guys. Absolutely fantastic show, and we just got a comment here from Niall as well. Niall says, "Hello everyone, just subbed. Great show. Absolutely appreciate the support, and thanks very much, Niall. That you came in at the end, but do hit that rewind button. It's been a very good podcast and great insight from the two ex-Manchester United players here in Phil Marsh and Lee Lawrence, and a debut for Reece Russell on Talk of Devils. And we're going to see him again on Sunday on the channel as well." So on that note, guys, we're going to wrap up the show. As always, guys, do smash that like button, hit the subscribe button there, bottom right hand corner, and hit the notification bell as well, so you get notifications when we do have podcasts, match reactions, all that jazz on the show. So do hit that subscribe button, Talk Devils. And this Sunday we do, as I did say on the end of the Marcus podcast, we do have our first kind of match reaction podcast right after the game, roughly about 6 o'clock on Sunday. We have a new host on the channel on Sunday, hosting match reaction. We'll have Dave and we'll have Reece and another new guest on the panel on Sunday as well. So guys, smash like the video, hit the subscribe button, and if you do like nice, balanced, but also good insight into Manchester United, Talk Devils is the great place to be. So we do appreciate your support, and look, as always, let's hope Man United go out there, get the 3 points, and make us proud on the weekend. But until then, guys, thanks very much everyone for watching, and look, hopefully we see you next Friday, and we're talking about a great result for Manchester United in the Premier League, and let's hope Manchester is red. But until then, guys, thanks very much.